This month we're talking about waiting. As your worship team was thinking this through, we were grateful that every week except today, there's also a major holiday to talk about. Hanukkah, solstice, Christmas, New Year's. And then one of us said, oh yeah, because just talking about waiting all month would be really boring. Then we were all quiet for a minute and someone said, not that I don't really have trouble with it and not that there's not a lot to learn about it. And we all said, yeah, but thank goodness we don't have to do that. It's a hard thing to talk about waiting because there are so many ways in which we wait. And so tonight I just want to kind of talk about the cartography of waiting. I want to map out some of the ways that waiting is in our life. When this theme first came up, I had a weird experience. We'd had the meeting to put together the paper issue of Quest on waiting. And that day, oddly enough, I locked myself out of my car. And because AAA had a little problem with the dispatcher, I ended up sitting outside in a parking lot of a grocery store for 3 hours. I didn't have anything to do. I had my cell phone, but the battery was just about to die, so I wanted to save that to communicate with AAA. I would have called someone to come and get me, but AAA kept assuring me they'd be there any minute, so I kept thinking, well, why disturb a friend when any minute AAA will be here? Had they said at the outset this will take 3 hours, this never would have happened. So there I was. I'd spent the day thinking about waiting, and now I was getting crankier and crankier with nothing to do in a parking lot. And then I remembered this letter that we had gotten, which we printed in the paper issue of Quest, from one of our prison members. You know, we have about 450 prisoners who are members of the CLF. This is from Randy Miller, a CLF member who's incarcerated in Indiana. For most people, waiting takes place in a doctor's office, a teller's line at the local bank, or in a drive-thru anticipating food. Whether it's a few minutes or a few hours, waiting is normally over quickly and painlessly, and life goes on. Unfortunately for me, waiting is my life. I wait every day, locked in a 6-by-9-foot cell, 23 hours a day, for any sign of life from the outside world. I wake up and wait for breakfast to be shoved through my door. I wait to be handcuffed and taken out for my 30 minutes of recreation. I wait for lunch. I wait to be cuffed again and taken to the shower. I wait for the mail and hope for a message from the outside that I'm not forgotten. And as the guard passes me by and leaves me empty-handed, I wait for the feelings of hopelessness and despair to pass so I can go to sleep and wake up to wait once again. Thinking about these words from Randy Miller kind of stopped my little pity party for one. You know, there I was, spending 3 hours of one day feeling helpless. And he was writing about living that waiting 100% of the time. I think that helplessness that we feel when we're waiting is part of why we don't like it. Waiting for something from ourselves is frustrating, but we don't feel helpless about it. So often waiting is about someone else, either not doing what we expected when we expected it, or just not being ready yet with what we need. And so as I sat on my hood, kind of leaning there in the night in a parking lot, Randy Miller's words stopped me, and they made me think about how much freedom I'm used to having and how much I resent it when that freedom disappears even for a few hours. But so many people don't have that kind of freedom for one reason or another. So many people are living lives where they have so much less control and are waiting for other people all the time. I want to share with you the spiritual teaching that Randy Miller then went on to share. This used to be my life, consumed by waiting, engulfed in negativity. Then it slowly occurred to me that all this time I was wasting, worrying and waiting for change to come to me, was actually my opportunity to make changes within myself that I needed in order to live the life I wished for, freed from desire, greed, and negativity. Waiting became meditation and a chance for me to look deep within myself and discover who I really am. Waiting became my chance, my church, my sacred circle of growth and reflection. While waiting, I confronted my fears and found forgiveness for myself. I discovered compassion and an appreciation for the many blessings I never noticed I had. Waiting became prayer and a bond between myself and the Creator. And so the next time that you are feeling helpless and anxious and upset as you wait, I invite you also to call up Randy Miller as your spiritual teacher, to imagine him in that situation, in prison, in solitary confinement, with so little control over his life, and discovering that even there, he could turn waiting into his sacred circle. And so may waiting offer each of us a chance to accompany ourselves even to those places we really don't want to go, even to those times we really would just as soon skip. May waiting become our teacher.